Section C, items previously tabled. Would anybody like to make a motion to untable the Day Fleet commercial sales truck for purpose of discussion?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Second. Second by Scotty. Motion by Mr. Bova to untable purchase and payments for various department items during 2019 fiscal year. Day Fleet commercial sales 2019 Ford Super Duty F-350 truck.
So, Mr. McIntyre, I wasn't privy to the conversation about the
We
other
have a
options.
motion and
Oh, I'm sorry, we haven't
a
voted.
second to.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
On table.
My bad.
Can we vote, please?
Are you ready, Bonnie?
Would that be just for the purchase of the truck, and it won't be the G&G resolution as well?
Right, just on table.
The truck,
Well,
Jack, are you untabling only the truck?
yes.
Only the truck.
okay,
So there's two within item number one.
okay. One moment,
Where's
please.
it gonna be a truck?
Yeah, just the truck.
Yeah.
We're leaving
Calm down, Mr.
GG for
McIntyre.
this, where it is for now.
Mrs. Cerrucci,
Aye.
Mr. Gottman? Aye. Dr. Kalkstein?
Aye.
Mr. Lapsevich?
No.
Mr. McIntyre?
No.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Mrs. Warning?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Bova?
Aye.
Motion carries. To untable.
Okay, I'd like to open it up for discussion.
So, I've heard that there were other options bandied about. Can I hear any specifics about that, or do we make any progress? Did I hear mention of a box truck?
Yeah, I think the idea that it was discussed at the meeting on Friday was the idea that this F-350 is not a very versatile vehicle as far as what we're getting as an F-350 versus what we would normally buy to replace the current truck in the fleet. The only need for that, $20,000 to $30,000 price point difference would be to benefit the band trailer, okay? In other words, for every other thing that we use that truck for, we don't need it to be an F-350. We need it to be what we already have. So my idea was, if we're gonna buy a larger vehicle, let's look at something that could actually benefit the district on the whole and be a little bit more versatile. And with the band's current operation, they have a certain size trailer that works currently with what we have in our fleet as far as a pickup truck. And then they've been renting I think a 26-foot box truck. And I believe it was that size because that's the only one that had the lift gate available. So Mr. Brown and I were discussing looking at some 18 and 20-foot box trucks that we can then actually add a lift gate to. That box truck becomes part of the Gateway fleet, becomes a valuable resource for for the whole district. As far as moving supplies, things like that. The current box truck we have is, I forget how many years old, but it's getting towards the end of its life. I think it provides a much more versatile answer. It provides all of the needs that the band would currently have. It saves you money on a smaller trailer that can still be pulled by an F-250, and you still have the box truck available. So that was my idea.
I'm just going to ask, you made a comment that that would save the district 20 to 30,000. I mean, on a truck, you're going to say you can buy a truck for 11,000, 21 to 11,000,
I
and
didn't
that,
say any of those things.
you said it would be a savings of 20 to
The
30,000.
word savings never came out of my mouth, Mrs. Warren.
I think what he means is that the difference from the F-150 to the F-350 is about $20,000.
Now, he said 20 or 30, which would
It's about-
suggest
it's
that
about
there's an
20.
$11,000 pickup truck somewhere, which we all
That's-
pretty much know is not the case.
Right, that's what I picked up, that's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
I see what you're saying. No, yeah, the difference is about $20,000.
Okay, I apologize.
Do we have any quotes on box trucks?
Mr. Brown was working on those, but he is currently on
They're
vacation.
not here yet?
No quotes.
I
on
think, to
box
me,
trucks,
that
yeah.
it's irrelevant to move forward with the box truck, because I was under the understanding that we were only gonna go with a box truck if we were gonna buy a smaller trailer. But the band has just made it clear that they don't want that option, so why would we force them onto our option when the price is probably gonna be negligible? I can't imagine a box truck being significantly lower than the $20,000 they're asking us to
But
pay extra on a truck.
with the box truck scenario, we are adding a vehicle to our fleet. We're gonna hold on to the F-250 for another year, so it's actually adding a vehicle to our fleet, expanding the fleet. That truck would be, again, used for more purposes than just the pulling of the trailer.
Do we need another truck for our fleet?
According to Mr. Brown, a box truck would be very, very useful for the district.
Wow.
Again, because of.
But we
the-
need a pickup truck too. It's either this year we buy a pickup truck or we put it off for 1 year, just so
Right.
everybody's clear.
Right.
We do plan on purchasing a pickup truck.
Correct, to replace
If
one of
we-
the F-250.
If we didn't go with the F-350 this year, we would be maybe delaying it for a year because of our little budgetary crisis to try to save it. You have anything to add, Mr. Shaw? He just sits there so quietly, and I know he wants to talk.
Well, and just,
He has
you know,
all those folders sitting right in front of him.
I have a lot of information. Specifically, just to share some of the differences that have been discussed already. You know, what is on the agenda is an F-350 for $41,472. Previously, when we replaced our last truck, was an F-250. It was $26,584, so approximately $15,000 difference between the two for that. But in terms of the truck in the fleet that we need to replace, it's either now or later. I mean, it's a truck that needs to be replaced. It's an old truck. It's getting towards the end of its useful life. You know, just similar to the current van trailer, you can only repair them so many times, and it's not really worth carrying on for that. And you know, one of the other things in terms of pickup truck, you can plow with a pickup truck, so that adds some characteristics as well in terms of things you can do, more versatility with that as well. So. But in terms of whether we would get the truck now or later, we would still purchase it in a similar type of manner as being suggested right here with this F-350, in terms of making the purchase now. And in terms of buying it now is to provide some budgetary relief, because again, originally, when these discussions started many months ago, we had initially put the truck into next year's budget. And so again, in line with us trying to reduce expenditures for next year's budget, that's where, you know, the idea came. Let's purchase it now at the current year's budget out of some excess funds in some of the budgetary categories available. So I'm not sure if that added any clarification on anything for that or not, but.
Mr. Robson? You have anything to add?
No, I misunderstood the truck situation. I didn't know we needed a truck for our fleet in the near future. I didn't know that. I thought we were just buying this truck for the band,
Which truck, the pickup or the box truck?
the pickup. And I wouldn't have voted the way I did if I knew in the near future we needed a new truck. And for that extra 10 or 15 grand, in my opinion, doesn't matter. If we need it upgraded and we're done with it, that's all.
Mr. Cerucci, I have a question. Are you the driver for the, so I have a technical question about the
Go ahead,
difference
Mr. Ray.
between a trailer and a box truck capabilities. And so it's with respect to the time required for packing it and the safety. Once a trailer is packed and attached to a vehicle, if the balance is incorrect, it causes gyrations. In other words, it's got to be packed by someone who knows how to pack it and balance the trailer. Otherwise, it can be a dangerous situation. With a box truck, you have an I-beam whereby the time required to pack it and unpack it is smaller. And I noticed that Mr. Hulte went into a bit of a detail about how difficult it is to pack it and the staging that you have to go through to pack it and unpack it correctly. Am I on the right track with this? In other words, if the board is trying to consider the difference between a trailer versus a box truck, we need to know from the driver's perspective what the issues are, and we don't, right?
Well, I think we can
Sir, if
both-
you want to take the microphone, or?
I think we can both talk to some of that, because my daughters have been in enough where they've done winter precaution, they've had to load the trailer, so there's a couple things. Is so when they have the trailer, they have to put the instruments on it. Those are really expensive instruments, and we don't need them out in the potential weather, everything else. So when they finish performing at a halftime, they load them back on, but because of the construction of the current trailer, they actually have to pull all the equipment back off to put the drum type stuff that they use in the stands, to put that back on. So that's sort of a logistical difficulty, and I think what Mr. Kelcher was referencing about how we load and unload the trailer itself. Mr. Chase can speak about the loading.
And the balance,
SUV truck.
loading too much weight on the tongue makes it unstable, and loading too much weight on the back also lifts the tongue, and that's an unstable situation. Am I on the right track there?
With the new trailer, you know, the parents and Mr. Helshey and everybody, we're gonna get together and make sure that we can have it balanced correctly, okay? Once we have that figured out, then that's when we show the kids how to actually properly load it.
Okay.
It's just the kids' responsibility to load the trailer.
All right, so-
Currently, we only use the 26-foot box truck because the equipment that goes on there doesn't fit on the current trailer.
Okay, so that opens the door for the board to just weigh the difference between the two styles, that's all.
Go ahead, Mr. Lapsovich.
Is it true, like, you have a heavier piece of equipment, doesn't that actually go over the main axles that would stabilize that trailer, and then the lighter stuff can go either in front or back?
Correct. Most of the heavy stuff would be over top of the axles
Yeah.
in the trailer,
Thank you.
all the lighter stuff.
And just to be clear, any of the scenarios still involve a trailer. We haven't mentioned any scenario that involves no trailer, so the loading, the unloading, I assume, since I've not seen your trailer swerving down Route 48, you've learned both how to load it and how to tow it.
It's like built out on the inside, so it goes a certain way, and we
There you
also
go.
have to build out the new trailer the
course.
same way.
Right.
And the new trailer actually has, with that, we're gonna get the side door, which is very common with the van, so you can load both directions, just because that strange loading is from that weight distribution.
And just let me say, I'd like to thank you folks for stepping up and buying, or offering to buy the trailer. I mean, last we were having this conversation,
We weren't
that was
there.
not necessarily an option. So when I have a chance, I'd like to find out, how do I actually make this an action item so we can
Make a
go back
motion.
to purchase the truck?
Make a motion right now to make it an action item.
I have another question, please.
Go ahead, Mr. Lapsovich.
Thank you. Yeah, I give you credit for being the driver. I think my main, I haul just 8-foot trailers, and I have one heck of a time going to left to the right, backing it up. But I think my main concern would be, not the weight in that trailer, would be the length of that trailer for you to handle it. Do you,
I personally don't handle the trailer.
Our district employees drive the
Oh, I thought
trailer.
he did.
He drives the box truck.
I drive a box.
oh, I thought you drove.
Yeah.
it.
But
So-
that's, Mr. Brian was talked about, they still, the bumper pool that we have is still difficult to maneuver. A lot of
Okay.
those places don't give us a lot of space. If
That's
you've ever
what I
been
meant.
like to the Kiski Stadium in the middle of town, they actually have to pull that in, unload it,
Okay.
and park it in very odd, small
Thank you.
places.
So if I may, I'd like to make a motion to purchase the F-350
Oh, I should
truck.
have hammered in.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bova, second by Mr. Williams. Is there any more discussion?
We can't really vote on that right now.
We just made an action item, John.
Took it off the table.
We untabled it, and Mr. Bova just made it an action item.
Okay, so then we can. Okay, good.
Yeah, and we
Thank
don't
you.
even need a supermajority because it was tabled.
That's correct.
So,
Okay,
Roll
good.
call.
roll call, Bonnie.
Okay. Mr. Gottman?
No.
Dr. Kalkstein?
Aye.
Mr. Lapsovich?
Aye.
Mr. McIntyre?
No.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Mrs. Warning?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Bova?
Aye.
Mrs. Cerrucci?
Aye.
Motion
Motion
carried.
passes.